What if I told you that just three simple vitamins could quietly decide whether you spend your days feeling drained and unfocused, or whether you wake up with steady energy, clear thinking, and the kind of confidence you may feel has slowly faded over time? I understand the doubt that probably comes to mind. It can sound like another claim about miracle solutions. But stay with me for a moment, because what I'm about to share is not based on hype and it is not built around rare or expensive supplements. These are three very specific, carefully studied vitamins that a large number of men over the age of 50 are consistently lacking. And when those deficiencies are corrected properly, the impact can extend far beyond basic health. It can influence your energy levels, your physical performance, your mental sharpness, and even your sense of confidence in everyday life. Hello, I'm Dr. Joslyn. I'm a practicing urologist, and for the past 5 years, I've worked closely with men who are not simply trying to get by, but who want to feel capable, steady, and fully present in their lives again. Not only inside the clinic, but in their work, their relationships, and their personal well-being. In this video, I'm going to guide you through three essential vitamins that play a direct role in your energy, performance, and overall vitality after the age of 50. And by the time you reach the end, you'll have a clear, practical plan that you can begin using right away. No confusion, no unnecessary complexity, just straightforward, evidence-based steps. But before we move forward, I want to ask you something simple. Where are you watching from today? Take a moment and share it in the comments. I always find it meaningful to see how many men from different parts of the world are paying attention to their health, and your input might encourage someone else to do the same. And if you value clear, research-based advice specifically designed for men over 50, consider liking this video and subscribing so you don't miss future discussions like this. Now, let's begin. If you are a man over 50, your body has been working consistently for decades. And over time, certain changes are not only common, they are expected. Testosterone levels tend to decline gradually, often by as much as 30 to 40%. Your digestive system becomes less efficient at absorbing nutrients from food. Blood circulation may slow down. And the typical modern diet often fails to provide the nutrients your body actually needs to maintain optimal function. Here is where a major misunderstanding often occurs. Many people, including parts of the medical community, look at these changes and simply label them as normal aging. Low energy becomes accepted. Mental fog becomes expected. Reduced physical performance is brushed off. And a decrease in drive or motivation is treated as something unavoidable. But in many cases, that conclusion is incomplete, because a significant portion of what you may be experiencing is not purely aging. It is deficiency. Specifically, deficiencies that develop slowly over time and quietly reduce your body's ability to function at its best. And the important part is this: these deficiencies can be identified and they can be corrected. In this discussion, I'm going to show you the three vitamins that have the most direct influence on your energy, your confidence, and your physical performance. I'll explain why men over 50 are particularly at risk of being low in these nutrients, and I'll walk you through how to take them properly, including the forms and amounts that are most effective. This is not about trying to reverse time. It is about supporting your body so it can continue to function properly, even as the years pass. Over the last 5 years, I've seen many men come into my office with similar concerns. They describe feeling tired most of the time. They notice a drop in motivation. They feel older than they expected to feel at their age. And often, they carry quiet concerns about their physical performance, especially in more private aspects of life. When we run their blood tests, a consistent pattern appears again and again. Low levels of the same key vitamins, and when those deficiencies are corrected, the results are not limited to numbers on a report. Energy begins to return, focus improves, confidence gradually rebuilds. So let's start with the first one, vitamin D. This is often referred to as the vitamin associated with bone health, but that description only covers a small part of its role. In reality, vitamin D3 plays a central role in hormonal balance, circulation, and overall energy production. For men over 50, this becomes especially important. Research has shown that men with adequate vitamin D levels tend to have testosterone levels that are significantly higher compared to those who are deficient. The difference can be substantial enough to affect how you feel day to day. Low levels do not only influence physical performance, they can also affect mood, motivation, and mental clarity. Many men describe it as a gradual loss of their usual drive or sense of sharpness. There is also a direct connection between vitamin D and circulation. Studies involving large groups of men have shown that those with healthier vitamin D levels tend to experience better blood flow and improved physical function. The challenge is that deficiency is extremely common. As you age, your skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. You may spend more time indoors than you did in earlier years. And depending on where you live, sunlight during certain seasons may not be strong enough to support adequate production. This is why testing becomes important. A simple blood test can measure your vitamin D level accurately. And rather than aiming for the minimum acceptable range, it is more beneficial to aim for a level that supports optimal function. For many men, that requires consistent supplementation. Typically, a daily intake in the range of 2,000 to 4,000 IU is effective, although individual needs can vary. It is also important to take vitamin D with food that contains some fat, such as eggs, nuts, or dairy, because this improves how well your body absorbs it. Even small details like this can make a noticeable difference over time. This is the foundation. In the next part, we'll move to the second vitamin, which plays a critical role in energy production at the cellular level and is often overlooked until symptoms become difficult to ignore. Now let's move to the second vitamin. And this one is often the missing link when a man tells me, "Doctor, I'm sleeping enough, I'm eating reasonably well, but I still feel exhausted." Vitamin B12. If you think of your body like an engine, B12 is what allows that engine to actually turn on and run efficiently. Without enough of it, your body cannot properly convert the food you eat into usable energy. And this is where things become more complicated after the age of 50. Because the issue is not always what you are eating. It is what your body is able to absorb. As you get older, your stomach naturally produces less acid. That acid is essential for breaking down food and releasing vitamin B12 so your body can use it. So even if you are eating foods that contain B12, like meat, eggs, or dairy, your body may not be accessing the nutrient effectively. This leads to a slow and often unnoticed decline. Biologically, low B12 levels can result in persistent fatigue that does not improve with rest. You may also notice difficulty concentrating, a sense of mental fog that wasn't there before, mood fluctuations that seem out of place. In more advanced cases, even nerve-related symptoms can begin to appear. There is also an important connection that many men are not aware of. Vitamin B12 plays a role in both nerve function and red blood cell production. That means it directly affects how oxygen is transported throughout your body and how signals are transmitted through your nervous system. When these systems are not functioning properly, performance in multiple areas can be affected. Research has shown that men with low B12 levels are significantly more likely to experience challenges related to physical performance, particularly because of reduced nerve sensitivity and compromised blood flow. From a practical perspective, this translates into something very simple but very impactful: less energy for daily tasks, less stamina for physical activity, and reduced capacity for recovery after exertion. Emotionally, the effect can be just as noticeable. Many men describe a constant sense of tiredness that never fully goes away. They wake up feeling as though they have not rested. They find it harder to stay focused during conversations or work. And over time, this can begin to affect confidence. The difficult part about B12 deficiency is how gradually it develops. It does not usually appear suddenly. Instead, it builds slowly over months or even years, making it easy to overlook until the symptoms become persistent. This is why awareness is so important. For men over 50, and especially over 60, supplementation is often necessary. A typical recommendation falls in the range of 500 to 1,000 micrograms per day. But the form of B12 you choose matters just as much as the amount. There are different types available, and not all of them are equally effective. The forms your body can use most easily are methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. These are considered active forms, meaning your body does not need to convert them before use. On the other hand, a common form called cyanocobalamin is synthetic and requires additional processing, which can make it less efficient, especially as your metabolism slows with age. Another important factor is how the supplement is taken. Since absorption through the digestive system can be limited, one of the most effective methods is a sublingual supplement. This means the vitamin dissolves under your tongue. From there, it enters your bloodstream directly, bypassing the digestive process entirely. This approach often leads to more consistent and noticeable results. When B12 levels begin to improve, many men report changes within a relatively short period. Energy starts to feel more stable, mental clarity improves. That constant heaviness or fatigue begins to lift. And these changes are not imagined. They are the result of restoring a basic function that your body depends on every day. So now you have the first two pieces of the foundation: vitamin D3 supporting hormones, circulation, and overall vitality. Vitamin B12 supporting energy production, nerve function, and mental clarity. In the next part, we will look at the third vitamin, one that plays a critical role in blood flow, recovery, and even stress regulation, and how it ties everything together. Now we come to the third vitamin, and this one is often underestimated because people tend to link it only with immunity, not with performance or vitality. Vitamin C. Most men hear vitamin C and immediately think about colds or seasonal flu support. But in reality, its role goes much deeper, especially when it comes to circulation, stress control, and overall physical performance. To understand it properly, think about how blood flows through your body. Every organ, every muscle, every part of your system depends on healthy circulation. And vitamin C plays a direct role in supporting that process. Biologically, vitamin C is involved in the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and expand. When blood vessels function well, circulation improves throughout the entire body. That includes the areas responsible for physical performance and stamina. When this system is not working optimally, blood flow becomes restricted. And over time, that can influence energy levels, recovery speed, and physical responsiveness. Now, this is not just theory. There have been clinical observations showing that improving vitamin C intake in older men can lead to measurable improvements in physical function and overall vitality, especially in those who were previously low. From a physical standpoint, better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients are delivered to tissues more efficiently. This supports endurance, reduces fatigue during activity, and helps the body recover more effectively afterward. But the impact of vitamin C is not limited to blood flow alone. It also plays an important role in regulating stress hormones, particularly cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone your body releases during stress. In small amounts, it is useful. But when it remains elevated for long periods, it can negatively affect testosterone levels, energy, and even sleep quality. By supporting healthier cortisol balance, vitamin C indirectly helps protect hormonal stability as well. This connection is often overlooked, but it is very real. Emotionally, when circulation and stress regulation improve, men often notice subtle but important changes. Physical tasks feel less draining. Recovery after exertion becomes easier. And there is often a general sense of being more capable throughout the day. Now let's talk about deficiency. While severe vitamin C deficiency is rare, suboptimal levels are surprisingly common, especially in diets that lack fresh fruits and vegetables. This is particularly relevant for men who rely heavily on processed foods or have limited intake of plant-based nutrition. To support optimal function, daily intake matters. For most men over 50, a range of 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day is often used in a supportive or therapeutic context. This amount is typically divided into 2 doses to improve absorption and maintain steady levels in the body. Food sources are still important and should not be ignored. Foods such as citrus fruits, berries, kiwi, bell peppers, broccoli, and leafy greens provide natural vitamin C, along with other beneficial compounds. However, reaching consistently higher levels through diet alone can be difficult, which is why supplementation is commonly used in practice. There is also one small detail that improves effectiveness significantly. Vitamin C works even better when combined with bioflavonoids. These are natural compounds found in fruits that help enhance absorption and support overall antioxidant activity. Now, when you look at all 3 vitamins together, the pattern becomes clearer. Vitamin D3 supports hormones and circulation. Vitamin B12 supports energy production and nerve function. Vitamin C supports blood flow, recovery, and stress balance. Each one plays a different role, but together they form a system that supports how your body performs on a daily basis. In the next and final part, we will bring everything together into a simple, practical plan you can actually follow, along with how to implement these changes safely and consistently over time. Now that you understand the 3 key vitamins individually, the next step is not just knowing them, but actually using them in a way that makes sense for your body and your daily routine. Because information alone doesn't change anything. Application does. So let's bring everything together into a clear, practical approach that you can realistically follow. The first and most important step is testing, not guessing. This is where many men make a mistake. They start taking supplements randomly without knowing what their body actually needs. That can lead to inconsistent results, or in some cases, no noticeable change at all. For vitamin D3 and vitamin B12 especially, a simple blood test can give you a very accurate starting point. Once you know your baseline, you are no longer working in the dark. You are making decisions based on data, not assumptions. The second step is to introduce these vitamins gradually, not all at once. This is important because it allows you to observe how your body responds to each one individually. If you add everything together at the same time, you won't be able to clearly identify what is helping and what is not. A simple approach is to start with one vitamin, give it some time, and then add the next. Even a 1 to 2 week gap between additions can make a difference in clarity. The third step is consistency. This is where results are actually built. It is not about taking a large dose once in a while. It is about steady daily intake. Your body responds to repetition, not occasional effort. The easiest way to stay consistent is to connect your supplements to an existing habit. For example, taking them with breakfast or right after brushing your teeth in the morning. When something becomes part of a routine you already follow, it is much easier to maintain over time. Now let's talk about timing and expectations. Some changes can happen relatively quickly. For example, with vitamin B12, some men notice an improvement in energy within just a few days. It may feel like waking up with slightly more clarity or less fatigue during the day. However, not all improvements are immediate. Vitamin D3 and vitamin C often take several weeks before their full effects become noticeable. Changes in circulation, stamina, and overall performance usually develop gradually over 4 to 6 weeks. This is normal, and it is important not to rush the process or judge it too early. Another important point is dosage discipline. More is not always better. The goal is balance, not excess. Each vitamin has a range where it supports the body effectively, and going far beyond that range does not necessarily improve results and can sometimes create unnecessary strain. This is why working within recommended ranges and ideally under medical guidance is always the safest approach. Now, when you look at this as a complete system, something important becomes clear. The goal is not to fight aging. The goal is to support the body so it can function properly at every stage of life. A large part of what many men experience after 50 is not irreversible decline. It is a gradual loss of nutritional support that the body depends on. And when that support is restored, the response can be surprisingly positive. I have seen men who felt like their best years were behind them begin to feel more stable again. Energy becomes more predictable. Focus improves. Physical performance feels less effortful. And in many cases, confidence slowly returns in a very natural way. Not because time is reversed, but because basic biological needs are finally being met again. And that is an important distinction. This is not about extreme interventions or unrealistic promises. It is about correcting simple deficiencies that quietly build up over time. So, as you move forward, the key message is this. Do not treat fatigue, low energy, or reduced performance as something you simply have to accept. In many cases, there are clear and measurable reasons behind it, and those reasons can often be addressed with consistent, sensible changes. In the final part, I will summarize everything and give you a simple mindset shift that ties all of this together so you can actually apply it in your daily life. Now let's bring everything together in a clear and simple way so it actually stays with you and becomes usable in real life. Because at this point, you've seen the 3 vitamins, you've understood how they work, and you've also seen how they connect to energy, performance, and overall vitality after 50. But the real question is not just what these nutrients do. The real question is what you do with this information from today onward. So let's frame it in a practical way. First, understand this clearly. Your body is not randomly slowing down in the way most people assume. A large part of what feels like aging is often the result of long-term nutritional gaps that gradually affect how your system operates. When those gaps widen, energy drops. Focus becomes weaker. Recovery slows down. And confidence can quietly fade without you even noticing the exact moment it started. But the important point is this. These changes are not always permanent, and they are not always irreversible. When the right nutrients are restored consistently, the body often responds in a more positive way than most men expect. That is why the 3 vitamins we discussed matter so much together. Vitamin D3 supports your hormonal system, your mood, and your circulation. Vitamin B12 restores cellular energy production, supports your nerves, and helps clear mental fog. Vitamin C improves blood flow, supports recovery, and helps regulate stress hormones that can otherwise drain your system over time. Each one works in a different area, but together they form a foundation for how your body feels and performs on a daily basis. Now, here's the mindset shift that truly matters. Do not think of this as trying to fix aging. Think of it as restoring function. Your goal is not to chase youth. Your goal is to help your body operate the way it is designed to, even in later years. That is a much more realistic and powerful way to approach health. And it also removes unnecessary frustration because you are no longer comparing yourself to a younger version of you. You are simply working to improve the version of you that exists right now. So what should you actually do next? Keep it simple. Start with awareness. Get tested where possible, especially for vitamin D and B12, so you understand your baseline. Then introduce changes gradually, not all at once, so your body has time to adjust and you can clearly see what is helping. Stay consistent, because this is not about quick bursts of effort. It is about steady support over time. And most importantly, be patient enough to let your body respond. Some improvements may show up within days, especially in energy. Others, like circulation and overall performance, may take several weeks to become noticeable. That is normal biological timing, not a failure of the process. What I want you to take away from this is simple. You are not stuck with low energy, reduced drive, or declining performance as an unavoidable outcome of age. In many cases, there are specific, identifiable reasons behind those changes. And when those reasons are addressed properly, the body often responds in a meaningful way. I have seen this happen repeatedly in clinical practice. Men who thought they were simply getting older begin to feel steadier again. Their energy improves, their focus becomes clearer, and their overall sense of confidence starts to return in a natural, grounded way. Not because something magical happened, but because basic biological support was restored. So as you move forward, keep this in mind. Small, consistent changes are far more powerful than complicated or extreme solutions. And often, it is the simplest adjustments that create the most noticeable difference over time. If this video helped you understand your health a little better, then the real value comes from applying even one small part of it consistently. Because that is where change actually begins. Thank you for watching.